What if you could see a disaster coming, but nobody believed you? Today, we're breaking down one of the most psychologically terrifying films ever made, Take Shelter, 2011. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will not know whether to feel relieved or absolutely terrified. A normal man, good job, loving wife, deaf daughter he adores. Then one night, the dreams start. Dark skies, black rain, people he loves trying to kill him. He tries to ignore it. He can't. And here's the part that'll mess with your head. There's one detail hidden at the very end of this movie that most people completely miss. And once you see it, you will never watch this film the same way again. Stay with me, because this isn't just a movie about storms. It's about what happens when the one person who sees the truth is the one person nobody will listen to. That feeling? A lot of us know it. Let's get into it.
Everyone seeing this?
Curtis LaForche is a construction worker, lives in a small town in Ohio. Nothing extraordinary about him. He's got a steady job with a drilling crew, a beautiful wife named Samantha, and a 6-year-old daughter, Hannah, who was born deaf. Now here's something real quick. Did you know that roughly 1 in 1,000 children are born with significant hearing loss, and the cost of cochlear implant surgery, which Hannah needs, can run up to $50,000? That detail matters later. Keep it in your mind. Curtis is saving everything he has for that surgery. His whole life is pointed at one goal: give his daughter a voice. He is calm, methodical, quiet in the way that good men often are. Then, one night, the dreams begin. It starts small, a storm, not a normal one. The rain is dark, almost oily. The sky turns the wrong color. Curtis wakes up drenched in sweat. He shakes it off, goes back to sleep. But the next night, the dream comes back. Worse. This time, his dog attacks him, the family dog, the one that sleeps at Hannah's feet. He wakes up, his arm is numb. He actually felt it. And this is where the film starts doing something genuinely brilliant. Because you're sitting there watching and you genuinely can't tell. Is Curtis having a mental break? Or is something real trying to reach him? That question, that's the entire movie. The next morning, Curtis does something surprising. He chains the dog outside. Samantha doesn't understand. She asks him why. He can't explain it, because how do you explain that you're afraid of your own dog because of a dream you had? The visions escalate. Now it's not just animals, it's people, neighbors, co-workers, and once, it's Samantha. In one dream, she comes at him with a kitchen knife. He wakes up and he cannot look at his wife the same way for the rest of the morning. Now, here's the psychological layer that makes this film educational. Curtis knows his family history. His mother, Sarah, was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia when Curtis was just 10 years old. Paranoid schizophrenia typically first presents between the ages of 18 and 35 in men. Curtis is 35. He knows this. He's terrified of it. He quietly goes to the library alone and starts reading. He sees a therapist named Kyle. He goes without telling Samantha at first, not because he's hiding it in a bad way, but because he doesn't want to scare her before he even understands what's happening to himself. That's not crazy behavior. That's actually very self-aware. And yet, the obsession keeps growing. Curtis decides to expand the storm shelter in his backyard. Now, Ohio sits in what's known as Tornado Alley's eastern edge. Storms out there are not a joke. Having a shelter isn't unusual, but what Curtis starts doing, that raises eyebrows. He borrows heavy equipment from his job without permission to dig the shelter deeper. He spends money the family doesn't have. He orders military-grade shelter beds, reinforced door seals, emergency supply kits. Samantha finds the credit card statements. She is frightened. Not of the storm, of him. His best friend and coworker Dewey notices the equipment is gone. Curtis gets reported. He gets suspended from work. One by one, the people closest to Curtis begin pulling away. Not because they're bad people, because they're scared. They're watching a man unravel. And here is the most painful part of this entire film. Curtis can feel them pulling away, and it hurts him deeply. There's a scene at a Lions Club dinner that will stay with you. Curtis and Samantha attend. It's supposed to be a normal evening, community dinner, neighbors, friends. Someone makes a comment, something about the shelter, something dismissive, and Curtis, quiet, methodical, controlled Curtis, just breaks. He stands up. He looks at the whole room, and he says something like, "Do you think I'm crazy? Well, listen up. There's a storm coming like nothing you've ever seen, and not one of you is prepared for it." He grabs his family and walks out. The room goes silent. Samantha is mortified. Hannah is confused. And Curtis, he knows he just crossed a line he can't uncross. Now, here's where the film starts dropping breadcrumbs. Tiny ones. Easy to miss. A flock of birds moves in a pattern that isn't natural. The color of the sky shifts in a way the neighbors don't notice, but Curtis does. Hannah draws pictures at school. Storms, dark clouds, a shelter. Her teacher sends the drawings home. Hannah can't explain them. She's 6. She just drew what she saw in her dreams. Catch that? Curtis isn't the only one seeing things. His daughter is too. The film doesn't make a big announcement about this. It just puts it there quietly and then moves on, like it never happened. One evening, the sky turns. Real clouds this time, real wind, real warnings on the radio. Curtis takes his family into the shelter. The storm hits. It's violent, it's loud, and then it stops. Morning comes. Samantha opens the shelter door. Everything outside is calm. Neighbors walking dogs, birds chirping, a little debris, but nothing apocalyptic. She looks at Curtis. He can see it on her face. Maybe it really was just in your head? But Curtis won't come out. Not yet. He sits there in that shelter, staring at the door, like a man waiting for something he knows isn't finished. They go on vacation. Samantha's idea. A beach trip. Myrtle Beach. She planned it to help the family breathe again. And for a moment, it works. Hannah is laughing on the beach. Samantha smiles. Curtis watches his daughter play in the sand, and something behind his eyes finally relaxes. Maybe they made it through. Maybe it really was just his mind. Then Hannah stops. She looks at the water. She turns to her parents, and she signs one word. Intense. Storm. Curtis and Samantha look up. On the horizon, the ocean is rising. The sky is turning green and black. Waterspouts forming in the distance. Dark rain falling, the exact color from his dreams. Samantha looks at Curtis. Curtis looks at Samantha, and the film cuts to black. No explanation, no resolution, just that look between them. The look of a woman realizing her husband was right all along, and the look of a man who was absolutely terrified that he was. Here's what makes Take Shelter unforgettable. It's not really a disaster movie. It's a film about the loneliness of being right when no one believes you, about the cruelty of a mind that might be lying to you, or might be the only honest thing in the room. Psychologists call this a double bind, when every possible truth leads to suffering. If Curtis is mentally ill, his family suffers. If Curtis is right, the world suffers. There is no safe answer, and the film respects you enough to never give you one. Director Jeff Nichols said he wrote this story during a period of deep personal anxiety, that he was afraid of failing the people he loved, and he poured every ounce of that fear into Curtis LaForche. That's why this film hits so hard. It's not about the storm. It's about every person who ever saw something coming and had to carry that weight alone.